Hello, I'm Mike and welcome to the workshop, and this week we're continuing on my saving scrap from the fire whilst getting it out of my workshop series. It's pretty long-mouthed. I'll just call it Scrapwood. And seeing as it's October, it's getting close to spooky season, I've decided to make a Frankenstool. That's not a stool that Frankenstein would have made. That would be a horrible thing to think of. Anyway, let's roll the intro. So, essentially what I'm going to do here is I have a pile of scrap that really can't be used for anything else. So I'm going to glue them up into a sort of plywood-esque thing to make up solid sections to make myself a high stool here for the workshop to make it easy to work at my main bench, which is 900 high. All my other stools are based for my lower bench, my assembly bench. Little videos up here. So I'm going to start on that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make up my top. Again, this will be a combination of bits of solid wood, bits of plywood, bits of whatever I can find. This is an experiment. It might go horribly wrong, but it's for my workshop, so who gives a crap? And after much choppy, cutty uppy, we have our seat. So you can see it's a mix of everything. So for the bits where I'm joining it end to end, I'll cut those. I'll glue them together with a super glue end to end. So this whole thing combined, clamped up, is going to be our top with our mixture of different wood types and ply and everything. And it's going to look all and Frankenstein-y. That's using up bits I otherwise wouldn't use. So for bits like this where I don't have enough length, I'll be joining these on the end. I'll cut them and just temporarily join them with a couple of drops of super glue. Once it's all clamped together, that should be good to go. And although this is my entire top, I'm actually going to glue it up in basically 3 pieces. Because I want a height that I can work with my bandsaw, because we'll be cutting out a nice big scoop to make it comfortable to sit in. So the next thing to do is to cut off our excess, temporarily butt joint all the bits where I have 2 pieces, and then we'll glue it all together as one, making sure not to put any glue either side of this center seam so it can all come apart and be glued together then. With the top glued up, we do the exact same thing for the legs. So with the legs, I am creating a hardwood sandwich basically. So I'll have a piece of wood either side divided by some plywood. And same thing then, we just glue it all up, flush them up as much as I can. When I have this done, then I'll run them through my thicknesser to get them to be square, and I can make my legs from there. Alright, now we're over here at the bandsaw, and our top is out of the clamps. And you can see how crazy and kooky it looks. Oh yeah, I'm just having so much fun. So I've made a paper template for my swoop. I'm going to cut one of them, mark it on off it, and we glue it back together so you can shape it. Then we'll start to look at our legs and making a frame for this, putting it all together. I have some great ideas. The top rails are going to be like this, kind of a mix match of materials. So let's get started on the cutting. Now it's time for the first of many uses of Mr. Biscuit Jointer on this project. Because I have the bottoms leveled out here, I want to put in the biscuits to make sure I get my alignment. When it's glued up, then we can start hollowing out the rest of our seat. With the top done, we'll have a look at the rails, and the rails are exactly the same as the top. They're just made up of random scraps that I just machined down to be one uniform thickness. Alright, I can put those away for a second. All the noisy work is done for the minute. So the legs are now square, the same size all around. So now we want to put a bit of design on them. I'll put it up here. So I'm going to put just a little taper on these legs just to take a bit of the weight off them. I've already marked these out here, you can see. And if you're doing this, taking the taper off both sides, you want to be super careful to mark everything that's being removed and not have one angle going the wrong way. As you can see here on the end, I have it all nice and marked, so I know I'm keeping the outside corner, which is what I want. So we're going to bolt these out on the bandsaw, cut one side, then we're going to come back, glue the little bit that we cut off back on to give us a bit of support with a few drops of hot snot here. It's a handy little trick. We'll finish in with the plane, then we can start looking at our rails and assembling this. here are all our parts. Not one of them the same. They're each individual little snowflakes and I love them. This is so contrary to what you normally do. You know, picking the best grain, making sure everything is facing out. I want this to be as higgledy-piggledy as possible. So, first thing we're going to do here is we're going to put our, pardon me, put our pieces for our lower rails off to one side, and then we're going to put dowel holes in these, mark them on our legs, dowel that together, and we'll mark up our bottom. We can glue this up, and we are flying. So I got, pardon me, I got back out my little pencil marking gauge here to mark the centre. I'm not going to lie, my initial intention was to biscuit in these top rails, but I miscalculated and the smallest biscuits I have cut too wide of a slot. But the dowel should give me nice strength, so I'm not worried. I'm going to take my pencil here, mark center line, drill for my two dowels, and using our dowel pins, we'll mark it in our legs. We'll do that for all of them and we should be good to go. I have hundreds of screwdrivers and I can never find the right one when I need it. I believe that's what they call a first world problem. So the last thing to do before assembly, besides sand everything, is I'm going to take a round over bit here on my router and take the sharp edges off the corners of my legs and do the same all around the top, just to give it a little bit more comfort and a bit of a detail, as if this didn't have enough detail and crazy stuff to catch the eye. But it looks pretty good and I'm happy. So I glued this up in a couple of stages, and at this stage it was very late at night. It was it was nearly 3 o'clock in the morning when I went in, but it did glued up pretty well. I'm relatively happy, and now it's just about time to do the finishing touches. Rightio, now to make two become one. So to attach the top, I'm going to use inch brackets, and just to be belt and braces and give a bit more strength, I'm actually adding more brackets than I normally would, so
everyone is kind of getting 3. Well, the short rails are getting 2. The long rails are getting 3. And I'm putting the brackets closer to the corners just to help hold those corners together in case they start moving, or, you know, they crack because they're just glued up timber. But I will let you know how it all turns out.
So now there's only one thing for it. That's such a relief. It's as solid as a rock. Now, it's Danish Oil Time. And there we have it. The Frankenstool. Completely made up of stuff that was meant for the bin. And this is made for the workshop. But I really quite like it. I suppose the lesson here is the only limit is your creativity. I just love the higgledy-piggledy thing of it. So, as always, thank you for watching to the end of the video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And absolutely do. Try this at home.